Good morning, America. Thank you for watching Taxes Made Easy on the smartmoneyculture.tv. We've got a special guest here, Mr. Stephen Mayer. He's a financial advisor from Libra Advisors, and we're going to do an interview with Mr. Mayer today to go over what's happening in the world of finances today. When should you be considering and talking to a financial advisor, and how do you prepare to really improve your financial situation by using a financial advisor? We talk about a lot, taxes and the burden of taxes and how to help with that. Using a financial advisor is how you start improving your wealth. So very excited to have Stephen on, and
Thank you.
we will be right back after this first break and introduce him. So stay tuned, and we'll continue the conversation in a minute. Welcome back, everybody, to Taxes Made Easy. And again, we have Stephen Mayer from Libra Financials, and we're going to go do a quick bio for him. So his full name is Stephen Quinton Glenn Mayer. That is quite the name.
Yes, sir.
He's been a financial planner or a financial advisor for 12 years. Some of his previous jobs, he's worked as a vocal coach. So he was telling me earlier that he is a Wagnerian tenor. I didn't even know what that was. And
Got my degree in music and theater, and that's why I work in the world of finance.
yeah,
But that's also why I wear musical ties.
very cool. His wife is Tammy, and he has 3 children: Annalie, Jordan, or actually 4. Sorry, Annalie, Jordan, Trevor, and Eldon. And he has a little Yorkie and Buhealer mix, named Gracie. So he's lived in Tucson for 14 years. And where did you come from before Tucson?
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
Where did you live before Tucson?
The White Mountains,
Oh,
up in
okay.
northeastern Arizona.
So are you an Arizona native?
No, I moved around a lot. I was born in California, moved to Idaho, moved back to California, moved to Arizona, moved to Utah, moved back to Arizona. So just kind of pinged all over the place. I lived in, I think, 4 or 5 cities in Arizona. So even when we lived in Arizona, we still were moving a lot.
Right. But Tucson for 14 years, so you've put down roots here.
Yes, yeah. I've lived here longer than I've lived anywhere else.
Very nice. So I'm going to give the floor to Stephen for a little bit. He's got a little presentation for us, and then we're going to have some back and forth questions for him. How can he best help people? And the whole idea here at Taxes Made Easy is to help people save money, understand their finances, and in long term, achieve financial independence. I help deal with the damage. I help people get out of nasty situations. Financial advisors like Stephen here help you become financial independent, and he's going to talk about that. So take it away, Stephen.
All right. So I've got let me bring up my slide here. Got a little presentation. It's not recognizing the screen. Give me just a second here.
Now, Stephen he works with plenty of other individuals. I actually went to a presentation the other day that he put on about student loans. So I think it's not just financial advising. He has plenty of other ways to help people. But here we go.
Give me almost.
Almost.
I'm getting there. I promise.
And part of what I see when people really succeed is when they have a team around them. So again, you should have a CPA, you should have a tax attorney when needed, a financial advisor to really help you long-term down the road.
Yep. I mean, do you think of any successful athletes or any successful actor? They all have coaches, and they have a team that's helping them and supporting them, every single one of them. So is the screen up? Can you see this okay?
Yep, the screen's up.
Fantastic. All right. So, yeah, we're going to talk about 3 different financial concepts that radically changed my life. I mean, I never looked at finances the same ever again after this. And the little bit of a disclaimer, Please understand this is for educational, entertainment purposes. Do speak with a professional. You can reach out to either Hubert or myself concerning individual tax, financial investing, legal advice, etc. But that's not what this particular slideshow is. We're going to talk about 5 types of investors, and that's where we're going to talk about how Hubert was saying, when do you talk to a financial advisor? We'll get into that a little bit. Talk about money views, why they're important, and then the financial chessboard. That's my favorite. I love talking about the financial chessboard. We'll get to that in a minute. So first off, 5 types of investors. The first type of investors are those who believe they have nothing to invest. So these people, when we're type 1, we do invest. We just don't invest in financial tools. We invest in emotions. we we buy coffee from Starbucks. We have Hulu and Paramount and Plus and Prime and all that. And we invest in streaming services, and we invest in Amazon packages being delivered to our door. That's where our investment is. We invest in our emotions. Now, there's nothing wrong with that per se. It's not immoral. It's not illegal. It's not unethical. There's nothing wrong with it. We just need to realize that when we think we don't have anything to invest, usually that money's going somewhere else. And we're investing in ourselves. We're investing in our emotions. Again, that's not a bad thing, but let's realize, emotions are fickle, and we're probably not going to get many long-term returns on our emotions. We need to take the next step up, and type 2 are our savers. These are people who they squirrel money away. Their spirit animal would be a squirrel. They're putting money away, not necessarily making their money work for them, but neither are they spending everything that they make. They're just holding on to it, keeping liquid cash, either because they don't know what to do with it, or they're scared of market volatility. They don't want to lose money. There are dozens of reasons why somebody may stay at a saver's position. Financially speaking, strictly financially speaking, you're heads and shoulders above type 1 if you're a type 2. But you are missing out if you want to become financially independent, financially secure. You do need to take the step up to go into type 3. I call this entry-level investors. Sometimes jargon may call it a retail investor, if you've heard that phrase thrown about. Most retail investors would be type 3s. This is somebody who understands the need to have a plan. They understand that investing is important. Maybe they don't have all the answers, but they know that it's important, and so they go and they do something. Anything is better than nothing. Anything that a type 3 does has the potential to be heads and shoulders better than just a type 2. Even if all you do is put money in a 401k and have some term life insurance and that's it, you're already a successful type 3 entry-level investor. Key thing to note about type 3 is that everybody who is successful financially starts at this level. Now, not everybody stays at this level. We've got type 4 and type 5. We'll get to that in a minute. But everybody, Warren Buffett included, the Oracle of Omaha, he started as a type 3. Everybody starts here. And then another key thing to know about type 3 is that multimillionaires are made here in type 3. You do not have to go on to type 4 and type 5 if you don't want to. And this is where you really want to talk to a financial advisor. Is if you need to start being a type 3, talk to a financial advisor. If you want to stay as a type 3, work well with your financial advisor. This is where my profession really, really shines, is with type 3 investors. Now let's go on to other investors. Type 4, sophisticated investors. These are people who are looking to get better returns. They're not happy with the kind of returns that they're getting from traditional financial advising, and they want to see if they can't game the system a little bit more in their favor. So for a type 4, what you need to do there is you're going to have to be far more active in your investment strategies. As a type 3, you can just give your money to an advisor or to a 401k company and let it do its thing. And you don't have to worry about market conditions. You don't have to worry about analysis or anything like that. You just put it in there and leave it and you're good. Type 4, you have to be actively involved. Here, you're going to need to learn about day trading, options, real estate investing. You've got to step up your game. Knowledge-wise, you've got to step up your game. Time-wise, you got to devote time to be a successful type 4. If you're successful as a type 4, you're going to have heads and shoulders above your returns are going to be heads and shoulders above the type 3. I don't know if you're noticing a bit of a pattern here, but 2 are heads and shoulders above 1, 3 is head and shoulders above 2, 4 is head and shoulders above 3. Then we go into type 5. These are the creative investors. These are people who create investment opportunities for the type 3s and type 4s to put their money into. These are the Sam Waltons, Mark Bezos, the Elon Musk, the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world. They're creating opportunities for people to invest in. They're also creating jobs. These are the people that keep our economy going. These are the people that help create and mold our society. They create things. To be a successful type 5 investor, all you need is an idea and the ability to capitalize on it. And that's it. Now, it is that simple. It's not that easy, but it is that simple. And so those are the 5 types of investors. Now, key thing to note here is that we get to choose which type of investor we will become. Nobody's holding a gun to our heads and forcing us to be a type 1, 2, 3, 5, whatever. We get to choose which of these 5 we get to do. But do remember, everybody needs to at least start as a level 3. You don't need to stay there, but you need to at least start there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I do have some questions, and we're coming up about a minute out from our next break. So how does this, Dave Ramsey is very famous and well known. It seems like he really encourages people to start off as 2 savers. One, save $1,000, start with that. Then save up 3 months of income. And then from there, start investing. Is that something you encourage people to do as well? Or how does that key into that?
Circumstantial. You definitely want savings, and you definitely want to curtail debt spending for different situations. But how much do you save? How long do you save, etc.? That's circumstantial. I agree a lot with what Dave Ramsey has to say. And generally speaking, save and invest. Yes, that's a good idea. But exactly how much and when, that's on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, and then we're running up on time, but maybe this question is for afterwards.
Sure.
On entry-level investors, they understand the need for saving. Is that essentially the difference between a managed and a not managed plan? Because I've heard managed plans is where you come in. But again, we're going to have to address that after the break.
Yeah, let's do that after the break.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for sticking with us. And again, I posed a question to Stephen right before the break as to the difference between managed and not managed firms. And me, I'm a novice. When it comes to financial advising, I just know a little bit enough to ask some questions. But is that something you'd like to address, Stephen?
Yeah, sure. So managed account is just what it sounds like. You have somebody who's managing the account for you. Mostly that's going to be type 3 investors. Unmanaged is exactly what it sounds like. You don't have a third party coming in and managing the account. You're taking it by yourself. There are some people who do that on the type 3, but typically we see that as a type 4. People who just take the bull by the horns and they start doing, penny trading stocks, day trading, option trading, etc.
Okay, and something that's been in the news actually just came out. The Biden administration, part of the Biden campaign has put out as part of that campaign an idea to cap rental or cap the increases. So a little bit of
Right.
rent control across the country. Is that something you would take into consideration, and especially with real estate? You mentioned real estate for sophisticated investors.
Correct. Yeah, it's absolutely something that needs to be taken into account when you choose where you're going to put your money. With if the cap's going, well, first of all, we already have rent control in some areas that already exists, and you just have to analyze the deal, make certain can I get positive cash flow on this with the rent caps, and what about there's going to be future inflation. Can I make this deal work when insurance goes up and when taxes go up? Is this still going to be a viable deal? Um, yeah, it's definitely a large thing to consider.
So, and just I'm kind of interrupting your presentation here a little
All
bit,
right.
but so are you planning for or advising people now regarding changes in tax law, or discussing the different proposals by the different presidential candidates? What do we think might happen?
So I am not a tax professional, just a financial advisor, a financial professional. So I don't advise on taxes. Taxes are a part of the conversation, but I don't give specific advice. If somebody wants to dive that deep, then I typically ask to have a conversation with them and their tax advisor, and the three of us will create a strategy to address all those concerns.
So something like the Trump tax cuts expiring and the rates going
Right.
up is
Yeah,
something you
when they
would have it.
sunset, what's going to happen? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to shut up now and let you continue with
No,
the
great,
presentation.
great questions.
Yeah,
All right, want me to go back to it?
sure.
All right, give me a second here.
So I talk about stuff a lot, but I mean, I think it's good to hear. Okay, is this something in real practice that financial investors are considering talking to their clients about? What's happening in the news, and the effects that it will have on people.
Yeah, I mean, it can. It's part of the conversation that we have. How deep we go into it depends on the person, how many questions they have. We always try to keep it at a high level first, and only dive into the weeds if somebody has additional questions. But yeah, good. Do we want to go on to money views or
Let's go on the
anything
money
else?
views. No,
All
that's
right.
perfect.
So a money view, it's a lot like a worldview. We were all raised in different families, different religions, different educational experiences, different political backgrounds, et cetera, et cetera. All this shapes how we view the world. It also shapes how we view money. There are healthy money views. There are unhealthy money views. You can see here, money is my boss. If you say, I work for Walmart, I work for Starbucks, I work for Amazon, I work for money, you hear how we're using the same kind of language there. Money is our boss if we think I work for money. Does that make sense? You hear how that works?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now a boss can be great. It can coach and inspire, uplift us. A boss can suck. It just saying that money is my boss isn't inherently a good or a bad thing. But it could be either. Um, Now, remember, money is inanimate. It can't think, speak, or make decisions on its own. It only does what we tell it to do. So, if we think that it's an overbearing, taskmaster of a boss, that's on us. We're choosing to look at it that way. We can look at it many other ways. Money is a multiplier. This is one of my favorite ones to look at. It multiplies our desires, whatever we want. So how many can I build on my own? All right. So here, the idea is I got my degree in music and theater. We already talked about that. Let's say I wanted to build a proscenium theater here in Tucson because I want to support the arts. If I personally lay the foundation, do the wiring and the plumbing, how long will that take? Let's be extremely generous and say it'll take 5 years. Um, but what if I had the money to hire a general contractor to do it? They could probably get it up in a year. Immediately, my desire just got multiplied fivefold. What would have taken 5 years now takes one, right? But what if I hire two general contractors and I build one here and I build one in the valley? Now I get two theaters in 1 year. What if I hire 50 general contractors and put one in each state? If I have that much money, Now my desire is multiplied 50 times. So the more money I have, the more I can multiply my desire. Now, remember, money can't judge our intentions. So if our intentions are bad, the money will multiply bad intentions. Uh, it's an inanimate object. It's not going to point us in the right or wrong direction. It's going to go into the direction that we point it. Other money views: money's confusing, money's empowering, money's manipulative. You know, if you ever heard "it's not personal, it's just business," that's a very money is manipulative money view. Money is liberating. All of these things are ways that we can look at money. Here's the thing, though: if we have an unhealthy money view, it doesn't matter what we do with our planning. We're not going to get anywhere. We have to choose a healthy money view if we want to move forward with money. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You've got to figure out a way to wrap your head around the idea that money is inanimate, but I'm going to use it in a positive way and go from there. Now, note again, just like with the 5 types of investors, it's our choice how we look at money. Nobody's forcing us to telling us how we must look at money. It's an individual choice.
So, quick question.
Yeah.
And this is just coming at it from, social justice kind of perspective. When we talk about professional sports, or players and etc., when people come from different backgrounds, and this is one of the concerns from the left, and I don't think it's unfounded, that people that don't have good money views and practices tend to spend their money. A classic example: Shaquille O'Neal, when he got his first $1 million check, he blew it in one night, and then his banker kind of said, "Don't end up broke 5 years after." I mean, I guess it's some crazy high number. 70-80% of sports stars are broke 5 years after their career ends. And
you couldn't
Shaquille
have picked a better question to segue into the next section.
Okay, I'll go ahead then.
You lobbed me a soft one on that one. That was perfect.
But this affects people, and if people don't
It
have
does.
that family teaching them these concepts.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and that goes right into the financial chessboard. That goes perfectly into financial chessboard. Okay? So, do you mind if I answer just moving forward?
Go ahead, yeah.
That's a beautiful segue. All right, so everybody knows about chess, right? 64 square grid, 32 pieces. Did you know there's literally over 1 septillion positions you can take on a chessboard? Septillion is a stupidly large number. That's a billion billions. Congress hasn't heard of that number yet, but give them a few minutes, they'll get there.
Don't even tempt them.
So, anyway, if you think chess is terrible and horrible and it's just so incredibly intricate and way over your head, I got great news for you. There's the financial chessboard. It's only 4 squares. It's far simpler. And there are only 3 positions we can take. That's it. So, how does this work? On the left-hand side, we have the budget sheet. All right? What is a budget sheet? Well, that's income and expenses. Everybody has a budget. Everybody who makes money and spends money has a budget. Now, maybe it's a written budget, maybe they follow it, maybe it's not a written budget, or maybe they have a written budget and they don't follow it. But everybody has a budget. Whether you write it and follow it is immaterial. You have one. Everybody that has money coming in and everybody that's spending money has a budget. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's the budget sheet. And the problem with financial education, generally speaking, is that we don't get it, and the only thing that we have experience with is money in, money out. And so this is where people's understanding of finances just kind of stops. It stops just here on the left-hand side. They don't realize, you're missing half the chessboard, and that's where all the power comes in. So what's on the right side? This is the balance sheet. What's a balance sheet? That's assets and liabilities. Now, you can, if you want to, go get a collegiate degree to dissect the minutia of what defines an asset, what defines a liability. We're obviously not going to go that far today. if you understand this one idea, you'll be right 9 times out of 10. And I'd take those odds to Vegas any day of the week. And I'm not a gambling man.
Is there not a good
So-
return on gambling?
No, there is not a good return on
Sorry,
gambling.
sarcasm.
It is a fun entertainment pastime thing. It is not a good financial plan. But anyway, if you remember this one thing, you'll be right 9 times out of 10. An asset puts money in my pocket, and a liability takes money from my pocket. Keep it that simple, and you'll be right way more than you're wrong. Okay? So an asset puts money in my pocket, a liability takes money from my pocket. Now, what are the 3 positions? We can have an ineffective or inefficient position, whichever label you want to pop on there, an average position, and an effective or an efficient position. Those are the only 3 positions that we can have on these 4 boards. So let's go over those real quick. An ineffective position is just what I said earlier. I make 3 monies and I spend 3 monies. There's nothing I can do with this. I am totally SOL. I've got nothing. If you live only on the left-hand side of the financial chessboard, you're broke. You got nothing. Sorry. And there's nothing that I can do for you either. So we obviously don't want to be here. So let's talk about the average. What is almost everybody in the world doing? Nearly everybody in the world, 99.99999% of the world. What are they doing? They make 3 monies and they spend 2 monies, so we have 1 money left over. What do we do with that 1 money? We buy a liability. Now, what did I tell you a liability does to us?
Takes money out of our pocket.
Takes money out of our pockets. So we buy that liability, and what does it do? It raises our expenses. So now I make 3 monies and I spend 3 monies. What did I just do?
You equalized it.
I put myself in the ineffective position, didn't I?
Yeah.
Well, now I get a raise. Now I make 4 monies and I spend 3 monies. What do? I buy a liability. What does a liability do? It takes money from my pocket. So now I'm back to an ineffective position. I make 5 monies. I buy another liability. It increases my expenses. Now, when I put it this simply, it sounds stupid. Who in the right mind would ever do this? But we do this all the time. We get a raise and we're like, time to get a new car. We get a raise. We need a bigger house. We get a raise. I'm going to buy a boat or a jet ski or what have you. We are constantly doing this all the time. The problem is that the average position, 100% of the time, every single time, will always lead to the ineffective or inefficient position. Always. So, we don't like that one either. What do we do for the effective or the efficient position? Well, let's start back with I make 3 monies, I spend 2 monies. What do I do with my extra money? I buy an asset. What does an asset do for us?
Creates money.
It puts money in our pocket, right? So this asset then puts money in my pocket, and now I make 4 monies, and I'm spending 2 monies. What do I do with my extra monies? I buy more assets. What do those assets do? They give me more monies. Now I make 6 monies, and I spend 2 monies. What do I do with my extra monies? I buy more assets, which gives me more money. So I buy more assets, which gives me more money. Let me go back a little bit. Notice that by buying those assets, I'm getting more money. So, to go back to your original question, the left is they shout from the rooftops, the rich get rich, the poor stay poor. They are right. That phrase is absolutely true. But it's not because the system is broken. It's because, exactly what you said earlier, the rich are taught get assets, where the rest of us are not taught that. When we buy liabilities, we will always put ourselves in an inefficient position on the chessboard, where if we focus on accumulating assets, we will always be moving ahead.
I love that. I love that thought. And real quick, if I can, or go ahead with this slide.
Oh, okay. Notice I didn't say anything about specific income. I personally have met people who make 6 figures who are in an ineffective position.
Oh yeah.
They spend everything they make, just like you said with Shaquille O'Neal. And how many times do we hear that people win the lottery, or sports stars or musicians, they make millions of dollars and then they end up broke? It's because they put themselves in an inefficient position on the financial chessboard. Where I have met newlywed couples, undergraduates working part time who intentionally put themselves in an effective position. Now, again, I said I'm not a gambling man, but if I were a gambling man, I would put my money on that newlywed couple any day of the week over somebody who makes six figures, but who puts themselves in an inefficient position.
So
It doesn't matter how much we make; it's what we do with what we make.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I mean, we see people all the time where they get a better job, or they've been unemployed, or they don't have enough money. If they recently got a raise, their expenses are at their previous level, but give them time, the expenses will usually come to match their income.
Yep.
And so one of the plugs I want to do here real quick is for Junior Achievement. This is a charity that I've been involved in, and they go to inner city schools, they go to underprivileged schools, and they teach financial concepts from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. And so it's an amazing nonprofit that tries to correct this, and they teach children even simple ideas of entrepreneurship. You can go make money. You can, how does money flow through an economy? And I've been blown away sometimes by these kids, how they will choose a smaller home. They will choose a less glitzy ride to be able to save money and put money in the future. Yep. Now, when they grow up and become teenagers, do they still make those choices? That's the question here. But yeah, I absolutely believe in education and programs that try to educate, especially people that are struggling.
So, me too. That's why I named my advisory Libra Advisors. Libra is the root word for liberty and the word for library, both. And it connotes that if you want to be free, you've got to be educated.
Got to have knowledge.
Yep.
I love that.
So put yourself in an effective position on the financial chessboard, regardless of your income, and you're going to be fine. Make millions and put yourself in an ineffective position, and you're sunk. Sorry,
it won't matter.
Nope, it will not matter.
Yeah, no, I've got we're coming up on another break, okay. But I do have clients that make millions of dollars, and the money just goes right out the window, and
we see it all too often.
Yeah, so and we can talk about that later as to how to help people have the right attitudes, or is it some people you just can't work with because you'd rather work with that newlywed couple that has the right attitude about money and the desire to save and invest versus someone that comes in and they just blow everything, they can't save, they won't listen to advice. And I have people like that where I've given them advice ad nauseum and then they won't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have the conversation, and if it clicks, it clicks. If it doesn't, great. There's nothing you could do.
Well, we're up on time, so we'll be right back in another few minutes. Welcome back, everybody, here at Taxes Made Easy, and having a great conversation here with Stephen Mayer. I had a couple questions about the different positions, and I think it's really interesting when we talk to people. Sometimes we try to help people make wise financial decisions in dealing with taxes, and it's tough when people are in trouble. We hate to tell people, "Hey, go buy a new car." Sometimes it's better to pay for a new car than to pay the IRS, especially if they really need a newer car. I had one case where this gal was homeless and just, oh my goodness, she had a disabled daughter and they were living in the back of their truck or their SUV. And so then she got a job and now she was making decent money as a nurse in San Francisco, of all places. One of the first things she did is she traded in her SUV and got a bigger, nicer SUV. And I'm like, why would you do that? She goes, because we'll probably be homeless again. And that last SUV was very uncomfortable sleeping.
Oh, my.
So when you talk about perspectives and individual needs, sometimes what do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, there's little you can say to that. She's experienced it. it's a traumatic response, and you know, eh, we need to feel safe. We have to.
Yeah.
And that's what she needed at that time. Did it make financial sense? Probably not. But is it what she needed at the time? And would I tell her she did a bad job? Not. I mean, not necessarily. Especially if she's still in a type 3 investor position. If she's still putting into, she got a job as a nurse. Is she putting into the company 401k? Is she still thinking about tomorrow? Then, you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing that she did. But yeah.
So, how do you help people move from ineffective or help educate people in an average position to? I mean, how do you deal with that? Or if you have people that have really bad habits, it's kind of like, I'd rather not deal with it.
So yeah, I talk about the financial chessboard. I'll draw it out on a whiteboard, or if we're virtual, I'll just pull it up like I am here, and we'll talk about the financial chessboard. And it's amazing when it's put that simply. The lights just bing go off in so many eyes, and like, oh, that's how that works. Okay, and because nobody's ever explained it to them in that way before. No, nobody's ever heard it put that way before. And when you put it that simply, it's like, oh, well, I mean, this is a no-brainer. I want assets. Great, let's get you assets.
Yeah, no, and especially the liabilities. I see people coming all to me all the time, and the liabilities really is a killer. Credit card debt being one of
Oh
the
yeah.
worst. And yeah,
Yep.
I could tell plenty of. I mean, that last story was just one of them. So how do you? If so, so is a lot of it the light bulb moment, educating people, presenting them with these concepts so they can say, okay, well, let's start. Let's change the calculus here, or I mean, how do you what do you do to help people? Someone comes in, they feel like they're going paycheck to paycheck. Um, how do you help them move from one position to the other? Or is it fairly easy?
I mean, no, if they're living paycheck to paycheck currently, and they see that they want to make a change to their position on the financial chessboard, then we talk about the types of saver or types of investors, and we make a plan. We say, how do we get you to begin your journey as a type 3? What do you need to do to be a type 3? And we have a discussion, and that's on a case by case basis. It's um, are you in massive amounts of debt? Let's talk about paying that off. Are you investing in emotions? Not a bad thing. Can we curtail some of our emotional purchases? We don't need to deprive ourselves. We should do things for ourselves. We should reward ourselves for a good hard day's work, an honest day's work. Nothing wrong with investing in emotions, but let's not go overboard with that. Where can we dial back? What can we do so that you're putting yourself in an advantageous position? And sometimes it's as simple as saying, hey, when was the last time you asked your boss for a raise? I literally had that conversation with one guy, and he was like, well, I thought that my merits would speak on their own. I was like, no, you've got to put yourself on your boss's radar. And he's like, really? I said, yes, absolutely. He came back to me the next week and he said, it worked. I got a raise. I said, well, there you go. Great. Let's move forward. Everybody's situation is different.
I have definitely fell into that category where I haven't asked for a raise when I should, but yeah,
I think we
that's
all have at some point in our life, but it's something to consider.
yeah, no, it's
Yeah. There's all sorts of ways that you can change your position.
good to know. I had some other questions here.
Yeah. One thing, if I could just wrap up
Absolutely.
that idea, is going back to the financial chessboard real quick. Notice I didn't say anything about income. I already said that, but I also want to make it clear that we get to choose which position we're going to take. We choose which type of investor we are, we choose which money view we take, and we choose which position on the financial chessboard we take. It's all our choice. Again, to reiterate, when the left say the rich get rich and the poor stay poor, they're correct. That is correct, but it's not because the system is gamed or it's broken. It's just because people don't know any better. When people begin to know better, then I find that they make better choices, more healthy choices. Mostly, there's some people it's talking to a brick wall. You just can't help. They're at where they're at. I know plenty of people. Some of these people are close friends or family of mine. It just happens, but the majority of people, when you have this kind of a conversation, the light bulb goes on. They're like, okay, what do I need to do? And they move.
So, pointing a little, good news out there. California, I shared a news article probably a couple of weeks ago, where California was the 26th state to require some kind of um, finances course. It's just a semester long. I don't know if you've
It's a
heard
step
about
in the
that.
right direction.
Little step or big step? Probably just a little step in the right direction.
I haven't reviewed the curriculum. I'd like to see it, and then I'd have a better informed opinion on the matter. But it's definitely a step in
Yeah,
the
no,
right direction.
I absolutely think we need a lot more education on finances because it's such a huge part of our life. How to just
Absolutely.
manage a checking account, how to invest, how to save, how to not owe taxes.
Yep.
Um, so, question here, especially when people have assets, are you seeing concerns with people not knowing how to manage those assets, pay taxes on that, or is this where you make sure they're connected with the CPA? I mean, and refer them to make sure that they're not going to get in a situation where they have to call me.
Yeah. Again, whenever, I mean, we have tax conversations. I mean, I just had a conversation with a client where I analyzed. She was with another advisor. I analyzed the portfolio, and it was not well allocated. It was heavily in cash, but there were some securities in there. And I said, if we make these changes, then we can, if statistically speaking, I can only speak statistically. We don't know what's going to happen 5 minutes into the future of the S&P 500, but historically and statistical analysis speaking, we
Yeah.
could almost like triple your returns. She's like, yeah, I want to do that. I said, okay, here's the caveat is that we need to be swapping. It is mostly in cash, but there are some securities here. And if we move these out, there's going to be capital gains taxes involved. And so taxes came into the conversation, right? Um, Whenever that happens, we make certain that the client understands the tax implication. If it gets too nuanced and too large, get the CPA involved. For her, it was just because it was mostly in cash and very light in securities. It was only a couple $1,000, and this account was over $500,000. So she's like, "Nah, just move it." She didn't care about the taxes in that one, but um,
So, real quick, as far as the savers and the squirrels, so it sounds like mainly cash position.
oh yeah, yeah,
You're
saver,
losing value to inflation, aren't you?
absolutely, yeah. You're not paying attention to inflation risk.
Which is
Here,
really big today. And I don't think it's going, me personally, I don't think inflation is truly going to improve and go back to normal until the government stops overspending.
yeah.
We're,
Well, people don't realize how large a factor the government is in inflation. They think that we hear that corporate is putting all this money, they're raising the prices. It's not fair. It's like, well, you got to understand. Let's take this for an example. Let's say you and I agree to exchange on a service. You're going to pay me for my service, and we agree that my service is worth $200. Great. Here's the thing, though. You had to pay income tax on your income, so you had to earn more than $200 to give me $200.
right.
And then for this service, there's going to be tax on my end, so you had to pay me more than $200 because I'm going to pay taxes on the other end.
Every time there's an exchange, there's a cost in taxes.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
so you had to make more. I have to charge more for what we both agree is only $200, where actually the transaction itself is 275, 280, and that's just a simple one-on-one transaction. When you've got middlemen involved, like for gas, I don't know how many steps it takes to go from raw to pump to our vehicle. I have no idea how many steps there are. But
Oh, there's quite a
government's
few.
involved in every single step, and there are taxes or fees or regulations at every single step. Why do you think gas is so expensive? Now,
Well,
I'm not
you have
anti-government.
supply and demand, but no, absolutely,
I'm
and I've heard like
100% not anti-government, but people got to realize that when you got a middleman who's taking money out of the equation and not adding value to the situation, what's going to happen? Inflation.
yeah, state and local taxes are way more than the profits that oil companies make off of every gallon of
Oh
gas.
yeah.
I've heard like
No,
4 or 5 times what and I mean that's
the state makes
insane
way
to think
more
about.
than the companies are making. Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's really kind of insane how
Yeah.
bad it is. But again, gas taxes are popular. I don't know why.
Especially in California right now.
Well, so
That's
just
not
kind of
working.
going
Let's
over
do a
it.
mileage tax. Okay.
We're kind of coming up on. We've got about 4 minutes left. Um, First of all, I want you to put out your personal information and how to contact you, and really what kind of clients people are you looking for to help, and what's the best way to get a hold of you and start this process.
People I'm looking for, people who want to begin their journey as a Type 3, who want to place themselves in an effective position on the financial chessboard can reach out to me, or people who are currently in that position, maybe they want a second opinion on how their assets are allocated or diversified. I'm happy to do an analysis of a portfolio analysis, and I'll let you know, hey, you're great as you are, or if you made these tweaks, we could improve. We can have less standard deviation, or we can have higher geometric averages, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, anybody who wants a second opinion or anybody who wants to begin, come talk to me. If you are nearing retirement, I'll just put this out there. Maybe this can be our next topic of conversation. The vast majority of retirement advice that's out there is over 40 years old and is very, very, very dangerous. Talk to me if you're nearing retirement to understand how to retire comfortably, securely, profitably, etc., and not be wholly subject to the whims of the market. You should not be worried in retirement about your stock portfolio. You should not be worried about that. So, but if you follow the advice of the past 40 years, you're going to be worried about that every single month. You're always going to be fretting about your portfolio. You should not have to do that. Come talk to me. And again, we can go into details about that maybe next time. That might be our next conversation.
That'd be a great conversation moving forward. So
As far as how do people get in touch with me, let me bring up my screen here. There, can everybody see that?
yep, right there.
Thanks. First of all, yeah, thank you very much for having me on the show. I had fun. I love talking about this stuff. There's my email. There's my phone number. Look forward to help you.
Perfect. I love it. And I just like I tell people all the time when they're getting advice around taxes. Same thing with financial advisors. Check them out. Look them out. I imagine you have a web page that you have Google reviews, all that, and that's all stuff that's going to be great.
I don't have any Google reviews right now.
But
I'm
Library Financials does.
Libra Advisors. I'll share my web page. I'll just pop that out there real quick. I don't have any Google reviews yet because there's some compliance stickiness to that I'm working through. I'll get it eventually, but I'm not there yet. But yeah, you go to Libra Advisors. This is what it looks like currently. We are working on it, but there I am, yay, with my music tie. There it is again. Etc. Different things. And you can learn about us, our services, Financial Morsels. I have a YouTube channel up that people are welcome to go visit, subscribe.
So we're almost out of time, but I would definitely check out those. I mean, he shared a few of those with me. They're fun, simple, and he has interesting graphics on those as well. So again, I want to thank Stephen for coming today.
Thank you
A
again.
wealth of information, and I hope we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.
Take care.